Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends retro carded Spider-Man Symbiote Spider-Man, or Black Suit Spider-Man, which is one that I've been very excited for. It was always my favorite thing as a kid. The black version of Spider-Man was so cool compared to the regular version, and now I have a new version of that on the retro card, so it makes me very happy. This figure does feature the newest of the Spider-Man bodies, I don't know what they call it now, like the new retro Spider-Man, whatever. That figure was riddled with problems. Is it any better this time? In some ways, yes, it actually is. So there's some good stuff to talk about. Otherwise, it's just a hunk of black plastic, so there are going to be some not so great things to say too. So prepare for that, but let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just shy of 6.5 inches, which makes him pretty close to 16.5 centimeters, little bit of size on him compared to the armored Spider-Man, which is disappointing for the armored one. But this one is okay, it's your standard Marvel Legends size. And let's go ahead and do a question of the day. Are you guys okay with this body? Or do you want a new Spider-Man body, like a whole new one, or at least mostly new one? If you're not sure yet, wait until you watch the video and then you can come back. Although I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to reference my old review of this body because I went into it in a lot of detail. I'm not going to do that again since it's the same thing. For me, I'm ready for a new one. This is the best one, but that doesn't make it good enough. Okay, so let's talk about the aesthetic. First things first, I wish it looked more like that. Like so much more. The chest logo is different, the eyes are different, the overall shape of the head is different, the overall shape of the body is different. This looks so much better to me than this. This looks a little bit like an alien. I'm gonna go over it as I would in a review, but I'm not gonna go into as much detail as I did, as much depth as I did the last time I reviewed it. So let's get this out of the way. It is solid black plastic. There's no shading, there's nothing going on other than the logo on the front and back, and the eyes, and the rectangles on the hands, which seem to me to be slightly off shaped. Like those look very big and long. Anyway, that's what she said? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and just talk about the paint job that is there. It's not perfect. I can allow things like that to happen, but down here is painted nice and opaque, and up here, it's not at all. I don't know if that's going to show on camera because it's white and it's reflecting light like crazy here on the studio lights, but I can see black peeking through behind all of the white up here. The legs are painted well enough. I do wish we had that other design with the little spiky things at the top, but yeah, the paint job's not great. It's good enough, but it's not great. When I line it up on the front, does it line up on the back? Doesn't quite line up on the back either. That's a little annoying just out of an OCD sort of situation, and these don't line up on the back either. So that's irritating, but I don't really care that much about the back. It is painted. So that's it for the paint job. These things don't look quite right to me. They should be narrower and kind of like angled on the sides, I think. If memory serves, that's not a big deal either, so I don't really care. But the face, is this just a repaint of an existing face? Because it doesn't, I don't think it is. Either way, I wish it was different eyes, but they're well painted. The eyes are wonderful. I love the eyes. Now here's the thing that stood out to me. One of the worst things about the other Spider-Man was how big and high his head was. This guy's head seems to sit a little bit better. I do like that. Given that change, it looks significantly better than the other one did. And if they were able to just raise the arms up, get rid of the tiny shoulders that are too low, this would look significantly better. It still has the really tiny chest, the big crotch gap, and the very, very large thighs relative to the rest of his body, which isn't that well defined, but it could be a lot. It would look a lot better. I'll do a Photoshop. I'm not going to do a Photoshop like the last one, which was meant to look like the animated series. This one, I'm just going to Photoshop this to look like this, but better. One of the biggest problems on this guy, I'll do it this way so you can see, is the shape of the arms. The bicep and tricep area, this upper arm, the way it pinches in before it gets to the shoulder, which is, by the way, a tiny, tiny little shoulder, that really destroys the look. If they made the shoulders the right shape and just moved them up just a little bit, this figure would look so much better. Here's an example from the same company. Look how much better those arms look than those arms. It's not even close. It's not about the thickness of the arm. Like, this guy's got a little bit more muscle to him, although that's an appropriate build for Spider-Man most of the time. It's just the weird bubbly nature of the arms on this guy, and the tiny shoulders, it throws it off. The tiny chest throws it off. The big crouch gap with big thighs throws it off. It could be so much better, and all of that to say this is a review and I have to talk about the good and the bad. It is better than every other version of the black suited Spider-Man. If you want one from Marvel Legends, this is the one to get. By far, it's not even close. But it has those problems, and I can't not talk about them. So I'll give this one an aesthetic rating of 7 out of 10. It does look better than the standard red and blue version on the same body. This head seems to sit a little bit lower and isn't quite as big. Could be an optical illusion, but hey, that's what it looks like, so it gets a little bit of credit. Now, as far as accessories go, we have the 2 fist hands, we have some wall crawling hands, and we have the thwipping hands. That's it. Is that enough? I don't think so, but if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. To me, it's a repaint of the most basic nature ever. Maybe it's a new head, maybe it's a repaint, I'm not sure. I haven't checked every single Spider-Man head to see if it's been reused or not. But if that's all we got that's new, then the spider paint, the eye paint, that we need something else in the package. So 5 out of 10 for accessories. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. This, I'm guessing, is not improved. Because we have this weird hole in the back of the neck to allow for him to look back farther, and he still can't. Like, it's not good. That's not how you do a double ball peg, and they have not executed even what they did well. I don't know whose idea that was, but I'm sorry, it was not a good one, and you can do so much better with just a good double ball peg, or just stick with the classic Marvel Legends joint, because this is not good. He can't look up, and when he does, he doesn't have as much of a gap. You can see it's just peeking in there. The other Spider-Man did that. So this head does sit a little bit lower. Yeah, that double ball peg just doesn't really give you the range you want. It's not bad for some poses. Like, that looks really nice right there. The lower head does make a world of difference on this figure. So it works to some degree. It's better in some ways. The double ball peg allows much more nuanced posing. But the way they executed it with this chunk missing in the back, that's just not how you do it. That's not how you do it. You need your ball peg as high up as it can go in the base of the neck, and then wherever basically in the center of the skull, where it should connect up here, and that will give you much better range. I'll put a video up there that shows you how to articulate a basic, like a head and neck that looks just like this with a basic double ball peg, and how much good range you can get without having any cutouts. It's my design, and you'll see how it works. Okay, for the shoulders, they are tiny and bubbly and goofy looking, but let's see what kind of range we get out of them. They do go out to the side well enough. That's okay. We do get our full rotation, of course. The butterfly joint on this guy does work nicely. You can bring it pretty far forward, and it goes pretty far back. I have no complaints there. That's very nice. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, surprisingly limited. That's just better than 90 degrees. Why? He's skinny. There's no reason for that. That's not well executed. Not good. I guess I'm going into more detail than I planned again, but for those of you that don't want to watch the old review, you'll at least get enough out of this one. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. That's fine. We have... It might be a double ball peg. It could be a single. I'm not positive, but we have a diaphragm joint up here. He leans back on it. It feels like it's only a single. So it doesn't lean that far back, and it gets a little gappy and weird looking. There will be a video in the corner up there to show you how that works also. So that could be better. It's not terrible. Leaning forward, you get almost no lean at all, and it's very gappy. It doesn't look great. So very limited range on that ball peg. To the side is pretty good, though. I'll give him that. And rotation is nice. Now we have an ab crunch down here, a reverse ab crunch, and some people love this, and that's fine, but if you had flipped these two joints, you'd get way more posability out of it. So he can lean very far back on it, so that's good, but he leans all the way down here, and he can lean very far forward on it, relatively speaking. But again, the lean happens all the way down here, which might as well just be the hips. So if they had flipped this, made this a ball peg, and then put an ab crunch up here, you could get just as much lean going forward. It would look more natural, and you could also lean him at like an angle like to this direction, going out this way, because you'd be able to rotate it and then lean it. On this one, you can only lean it forward and then try to rotate it, and that gives you much less natural posing and less range. So these two definitely need to be flipped. Good range out of it, but it's not what you want. So we do have the drop down hips, which is, it's really not a necessary thing. It doesn't serve a purpose on any sort of humanoid figure most of the time. Mechs, it's okay, but even then it's not desirable. So you have that hinged ball peg, so it drops down, and it's supposed to give you better range. And for Spider-Man, you do get better range. That's good for a web slinging pose if you want. That'll help. But if you leave the joint up and just design it properly, you can still get them up pretty high. And I mean, this one's not designed poorly. That's up without using the hinge. Using the hinge, you get that much extra range. So that's fine. It's good enough for Spider-Man. It's not loose. The reason I don't like these, you can see right here. Moving one leg moves the other. And it does create some problems, some stability problems, and some design issues. They tend to wear out, and you get floppy legs, and it's not a good thing. This one's not a bad example of it, so it's okay. Going out to the side, it's not designed to help that, and we don't have much range. It's not even close to the splits, and it's just a little better than 45, so not good. And that's one of the other things about the drop-down hips, the hinged ball pegs. Going out to the side is a pain in the butt because it tends to want to move that, and you don't want to move that. You only want to move the hip on the ball, so it's annoying. The legs don't go back at all. You do get your thigh swivel there. Double jointed knee is fine. Boot swivel if you want it. I hate it. I hate that because anytime you use it, it's just hideous. But it is there if you do want it. Ankles go all the way back and pretty far forward. I'll take that, and you get an ankle rocker. So yeah, like I said, it's still the best of the Symbiote Spider-Man figures, but it has more than its fair share of flaws considering it's a brand new mold. That's not a good thing. Don't think we're going to get another new one pretty soon. So, articulation on this guy, it's nowhere near as good as it should be. It's better than most Marvel Legends, but in some cases it's not. Check out the Armored Daredevil review that I talked about in the other Spider-Man review. It poses just as well, and it's a Bucky cap figure, essentially. So, 7 out of 10. It's average, honestly. It has more joints than most, and some new ideas, but it just doesn't work well. Which is what I said before, and it's still the case. This is a better iteration of that body, or better use of that body, but it's still not all that good, especially considering it's brand new. Okay, so, final verdict on this release. It is better than the red and blue version that we reviewed a while ago. Again, check that out in the top corner. But it still has its fair share of problems. The fact that it's a repaint at a higher price point with no new accessories, and it's only slightly better in that the head sits a little bit lower and is better sized. I'm only going to go 7 out of 10. It's just not worth the price point. Frankly, it's a solid black plastic with a little bit of poorly done white paint on it. That's not enough. That's just not enough. I personally enjoy it because I love Black Suit Spider-Man, and this is not a bad release. But for the price point, a 7 out of 10 is generous. This is not an impressive collectible. It's a semi-impressive Marvel Legends figure, but not enough. It's just not enough. Let me know how you guys feel about all of that stuff in the comment section below. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, I really think you should. I have new videos every day but Wednesday. And I have thousands, like 4,000 and a few hundred videos that you can watch on Wednesday if you want to. If you have some spare time. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.